Blog Talk Radio.
Everyone, this is News from the Mountain. I'm your host, Nancy Quinn. I'm a wildlife artist and author, and I live in the wilds of Montana. I'm really looking forward to our monthly chat tonight. It is a call-in show, so feel welcome to call in. The number is 516-387-1756. And you know what? Before we get going, I already have a caller, so let's welcome them in. Hello, caller. This is Nancy. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm James. I'm normally from Washington, but I'm kind of on vacation in Montana right now.
Isn't that fabulous? Well, tell me, what
awesome.
What do you think of Montana?
Well, today I went hiking up in the mountains and whatnot, and I had a really great time. I hiked around, and I went up like 4 different mountains and hiked them up. And it's not as Montana's weather is hot, but it's different than like Washington weather. We're got a lot more water in our more humidity or whatever is different. So it's not as hot for me to walk around here. I had a great time walking around and checking it out and taking a whole bunch of really awesome pictures. And you have a beautiful state. But thanks for answering me, and you have a wonderful show. I really like and enjoy calling in.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, James. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're enjoying some of your time in Montana. I'm hoping that wherever you are, the smoke hasn't come to you, because where I am now, we're actually having a day that is so smoky I didn't even want to go outside. So it sounds like you're still able to get out and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, there's a fire up by Lola Hot Springs, Lola Hot Springs. There's one not the east of it or whatever, but it's not bothering us yet. So I'm still got great weather and no smoke or nothing. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
I had a great time hiking.
That's great then. That's great. Well, it looks like I've got another caller, so let me welcome them in real quick, and then we'll get on with things. So,
there's a bee's nest over there.
Hello, caller. This is Nancy. Introduce yourself to us.
Hi, Nancy. How you doing? This is Randall from Alabama.
Hi, Randall. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You doing okay today?
I am. I was just mentioning I've actually had a pretty nice day. Got a lot of work done working on my 3rd book.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably the best that I'm inside because we're having a lot of smoke right now.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're just having a lot of heat down here in Alabama.
Yeah, but we do have the wildfires. You know, it's that time in the season, and we are getting some. So, I have another call pop in, so let me welcome them in for a second, and then I'll get right back to you, okay?
Okay.
Hello, caller. Why don't you introduce yourself? This is Nancy.
This is Cherokee Will calling.
Well, hello, Miss Cherokee. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Oh, well, we're doing just fine up here on the mountain. Let me get started with a couple.
light shining from here.
Well, let me get started on a couple updates, and then I've got some fun things planned for tonight. I want to hear about some of these tips and advice you might offer, and then I also have another fun quiz coming up for you. But I did want to start. Great. I did want to start and let you all know that I'm going to be in Missoula, Montana, this Saturday, August the 10th, at the Barnes & Noble bookstore. I'm having a signing there, and I'll be there from 11 to 2. So for anyone in the area, I just wanted to let you know, I hope you stop by and talk to me. And I have some other news that I'm actually really excited to share. If you find yourself in the renowned Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman. Look for my books because they're now in the museum gift store.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm
That's
really
great.
excited about it. I am.
You should be. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's quite an accomplishment, so I'm really happy about that. And so the news actually is kind of short tonight. So tonight I thought we would maybe share some of Grandma's wisdom that has been passed down through time. So tonight I thought I would offer some of my high mountain homesteading household hints and helpers. Try to say that 3 times.
Wow.
I'll pass.
Yeah, you'll pass? You're not going to take me up on that?
Go ahead, Randall.
I don't think I could either.
Well, it's sort of everything from, kitchen to laundry and any other types of subjects, just things to make your life a little bit easier. And I'll start with one, and then you all can share something, because I know you have something to tell me. I did receive an email from Jan, who lives in Washington State, and she was reading in my book about the mice stories and asked me if we had found any remedies for, keeping the mice from getting up under the hood of the car. So she sent along a couple of tips. Now, she doesn't have a garage, so the car is outdoors year-round. And she purchased one of those ultrasonic devices. It emits sounds or some kind of a tone that keeps the rodents away. And she also recommended placing mothballs in like a nylon stocking and placing it under the hood. Now, she told me she's really happy to report that for a solid year she hasn't had any mice or rodents that have gotten up into her vehicle. So, I don't know, do you guys have problems with that kind of a thing? I don't know, James, do you have a car outside?
Irish Spring soap works also. You can use Irish Spring soap, cut it up into chunks, and put it in a stocking or something and put it underneath your vehicle, and they don't like the smell of that, or in your garage or in your sheds or anywhere in your house if you have them. Any place that you have mice, you just cut Irish Spring bars of soap up into like a quarter or eighth, and then stick it all over the place, and it works great.
Oh, does it?
The mothball works also.
That.
Like you were saying, the mothballs, they also work. Yes, it works really well.
Okay.
But
well,
I'll clue you in on something on mothballs, though. Mothballs also causes Alzheimer's. So if you use mothballs and you have them inside your house, you will wind up later on in life, like 10 or 20 years, if you keep them in your house like that all the time, you'll wind up with Alzheimer's when you get older. So Irish Spring soap is a better recommendation.
Oh, so you like the soap better. What, Cherokee, have you tried anything like this?
The only time I had problems, and even growing up country, we never had any problems. And we always had the cars out year-round. But we used Irish Spring, but before that, we would use steel wool and stuff around the wiring of the cars. And
steel
the only time I had a problem was when I was up in Chicago. We got a mouse in one of the vans, and we had a double the time getting rid of them. And it was in the glove compartment. It made a nest in the glove compartment. So we put mothballs and Irish Spring slivers in there, and they didn't like it. But you also have to watch out for cats. In the wintertime, they'll get up under the hood and try to sleep on your engine, and you won't even know about it. So down here and up there in Chicago, but down here in Ohio, we tap on the hood a few times to wake
to make
the
sure
animals
that
up.
nothing's in there. Yeah.
Nothing there, because we don't want to take a chance on killing a cat or anything.
No, and that is good advice. Although, the cats that we have here are just so darn big, I don't think that they would be able to get under there. Yeah, I just don't see one of the cougars trying to get under the hood of the car. That's just not a problem I have here. I don't know.
Sounds like your mouse like to have a joyride.
Well,
maybe sleeping
actually,
on Bill's tractor or something.
Well, it might. We actually did have an issue one time where we had the car parked outside, and we do have a garage, so we kept everything buttoned up pretty tight. But we had the car parked outside, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, and we actually saw this mouse run up and get up on the wheel and then kind of jump up under there, and we couldn't get him out, and I knew he was there, and we had to go to town for an appointment. I think it was a doctor appointment or something I had, so I couldn't be late. And so we started driving, and the whole time I kept worrying that this mouse was going to somehow just come down onto my feet or crawl up by the gas pedal or something that was just going to jump out of me when I got to the mountain pass. And so I'm just staring down there and hoping it isn't going to get me. And, it rode all the way to town with us. And when we got to town, we actually parked in the parking lot, and we saw it jump back out.
It just wanted to go to the store.
He got relocated without really meaning to, but it was kind of quite a ride for me.
Probably out of milk or something.
Well, you just never know, do you? James, I'm sorry, Randall, did you have any ideas about keeping mice away, or don't you have those problems?
Yeah, I have plenty of them in my feed shed. Decon's the only thing that work for me.
Okay,
the
so
cats
you use
won't catch them.
You probably got a lot of snakes down there too, don't you, Randall? Keep the mice down.
Yeah, I've had several black snakes around here. Thank goodness we've lived here for 30-something years and never seen but one poison snake. But I've seen several black ones, but I usually don't bother them.
I was raised in the country, and my grandmother watched us when we were preschool and kindergarten, and she taught me and my cousin never to kill a black snake because they were non-poisonous, non-venomous, however you want to say it, but they were the farmer's friends, and also not to kill a Betty Longlegs. And to this day, I tried to, if I see a black rat snake or black snake, I take them and I pick them up and move them out of the way or whatever, or just wait till they move past. And I never, to my knowledge, killed a Betty Longlegs either.
They'll kill poison snakes too.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate here because of the elevation that I live at. We really don't have any snakes up here. We might have a couple of the really tiny garden snakes, but the other kind don't want to live up here. But in the valley, they do. They have rattlesnakes, and they do have snake problems. So that's one of the good things about living as high as we do on this side of the mountain, is that the snakes want to come up there. I'm kind of glad of that. Well, let's move on to...
A friend of mine...
Well, you can use grits also, like Randall. Instead of using decon, he can use grits. And grits that will not kill your cat or your animals, but they will kill the mice. They eat it, and then they swell up, and it kills them, but it won't hurt your animals.
I'm glad you told me that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Grits are rice.
The mice eat the grits?
Yeah, the mites eat the grits, and then just like the decon, it swells up in their stomach and then kills them. To where if a cat or a dog eats it, for some reason it doesn't swell up enough to injure the animal, and the animal just goes to the bathroom and it's okay. They just sort of have to go a little bit more for a while. And you just put it out in a little bowl or whatever, and they'll come up and eat it. And then they go outside and get the water, drink the water, and then it swells up, and then they don't make it back in.
Oh no, I had no idea about that.
I lost a dog because of decon. One of my dogs got underneath my grandma's house and ate some decon poison, and then it died.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I caught my little old dog eating some of it, and I just poured a cap full of peroxide down his throat, and it come right up.
Oh, well, that's good.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that mine had eaten it.
If it ever happens, just get you some peroxide, pour down their throat.
That
They
will
said
work.
when I took him in, I had 2 dogs that had eaten it, and they took him in, and one died, and the other one stayed alive, and they used vitamin A shots for my dog. And then as soon as I found that out, I went to the drugstore and bought vitamin A pills, and then bought some really soft dog food and fed it to the dog. And then when I took him in 2 days later for the next shot, they drawed his blood and said, "Well, what'd you do?" And he's almost totally healed from it. And I was like, "I put vitamin A in dog food and fed it to him."
Well, I'm glad that helped. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do, and we've talked about them before, you know, with the idea of the home remedies, because before we had other options, you know, these are the kinds of things that people did and that we used. So you're right, both of those can be used for an accidental poisoning. Of course, I'm about ready to talk about frozen food, so I hope you're... No one's in the mood to talk about that, right? Well, actually, I had a couple of tips that I wanted to let you know about the kitchen and about frozen foods. In fact, it's going to lead me into our little quiz that I wanted to give you. But now, there are some foods that I freeze, and it's basically just for convenience. I do prefer fresh foods as much as possible, because I tend to think that freezing the food changes the texture and changes the flavor. But why does it? And, you know, we've all wondered what those ice crystals are that appear on the food. And
the frosting, ice frosting.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out, because I've been researching it, and I found out that a percentage of the foods, those cells, when they freeze, they burst. And when the liquid escapes, the ice crystals form on the food. And biologically, it's a process called osmosis. You've probably heard of that. The liquid passes through the cell wall in order to equalize the pressure, and then when it's frozen, it causes the water, you know, to come through and allow the liquid from the outside of the cell to the inner. So that's what forms the crystals. And when those cells burst, you know, that's how you get the little ice pieces. That's your biology 101 for today. But
But when the cells burst, it changes your flavor of your food, correct?
It does. It is going to change the flavor a little bit, and also the texture. And that's why when you'll find you go to the grocery store or something, and you'll buy something, maybe vegetables from the freezer, and you find all those little ice crystals on it. And sometimes I've wondered before about, well, how safe is it when I have to travel? We always carry big coolers, and we put everything in the coolers because we have quite a drive in order to get home. But let's say we get, you know, delayed and something happens, and I have sat there before and looked at the food and thought, well, to freeze, you know, or not refreeze, that is the question. So, with that said, I've got a little quiz for you. So let's talk about meat and poultry for a minute. Do you refreeze it, or you don't refreeze it if it starts to thaw? So we'll give everybody a crack at it. We'll start with James first. James, do you refreeze it?
If it starts to unthaw and it's not very unthawed, I would refreeze it. But if it's just halfway unthawed, then I would cook it and use it, or cook it and then refreeze it. But if it's halfway or more, I would definitely cook it first, you know, unthaw it the rest of the way, cook it, and then refreeze it back in the freezer if I didn't want to use it right away.
Okay, Randall, what do you think?
I have to go along with James. If it wasn't too thawed out, I wouldn't mind it freezing, but if it gets too thawed out, I think it's dangerous. Mama always said that anyways.
Okay, and Cherokee, what do you think? Well, you guys are so smart. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It actually can be refrozen if it's been maintained at, you know, roughly 40 degrees or so, and it doesn't have discoloration or odor. But you're right. If you start to kind of see it begin to thaw, it's really best to go ahead and cook it. So, well, you guys each get a point.
Cool.
All right, let's look at, let's see
now,
how
the winner gets a trip to Montana, right?
Do they?
I'm asking you.
Oh, Okay, well, my show doesn't have that kind of budget, but I can send you a bookmark.
A nice
And
one.
that can be your little souvenir.
Yeah.
If you guys win, yeah. Boy, I should really think about upping the prizes on my quizzes, shouldn't I? I should have a better budget for my quiz winners.
You can buy an ice chest, Nancy, that actually plugs into your cigarette lighter. That actually will, if it has a reverse on it. One side is hot, and if you flip the little cord over and plug it in the other way, it will make the ice chest cold or actually freeze food. So you can buy that type of an ice chest, but you can't leave it running and not leave your vehicle running, because an hour of that thing plugged in without your vehicle running, you can come out and your battery's not totally dead, but it's dead enough that it won't start the vehicle. So you only have it running when your vehicle is running, but it works really well.
Oh, that's good advice.
Nancy, do you all have dry ice out there?
I'm sorry,
Nancy?
I couldn't hear you. Yes.
Do you all have dry ice available to purchase out there?
Oh, dry ice? Normally
I'm sure you probably could.
Yeah, we do. We have those that you just keep in the freezer, and they're in the bags that you refreeze, and we go ahead and take
No.
Put it in the ice
She's
chest.
talking dry ice, which you can't hold on to the ice because it'll burn your fingers, but it's a little bit more expensive. But dry ice would work, but every time you went to town, you'd have to buy dry ice to put on your food, and then when you get home, you really wouldn't want to put it back in your freezer even. You would just throw it away and then buy more next time. That's why I was talking about your freezer that runs off a cigarette lighter, which keeps things cold.
The lighter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what you mean.
I
Well,
didn't
that's a
know
good
dry ice
suggestion.
to do that, but because we send if we package food and send it over to the troops or something, we pack it in dry ice, and they can get it and still enjoy it,
I see. Okay.
A lot of chocolate.
Yeah, so far we haven't tried that. We've just used the regular ice, those ice bags that you refreeze.
Yeah.
And that's what we put in our coolers.
I sent salmon to Colorado for one of my friends, and I bought one of those styrofoam ice chests, and I lined it with dry ice on all 6 sides, and then I put 2 rolls of gray tape around it so the cheap cooler wouldn't come apart, and overnight expressed it to his house, and he said there was just a little bit of dry ice left, and the salmon was all still frozen, so he was happy to get it. And that was from Colorado.
That's good. Oh. I think that a lot of the food companies that ship, so when you get those, buy it online and they send it to you, I believe that that's how to do it as well. So there's, it definitely has merit. All right, well, let me test you on your vegetables. We'll find out what you know about vegetables. Do you refreeze them or do you not refreeze them when you're starting to see them thaw? Go ahead, James.
You don't refreeze them. I wouldn't refreeze them. I would go ahead and use them, and just if you can't use them all up, you have to throw some of it away, but I wouldn't refreeze it if it was unthawing.
Okay, Randall, what do you think?
I'd have to go along with James. I would be scared of it, if it was thawing out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Cherokee, what about you?
Well, as much as I like vegetables, I have to agree with the guy there. I'd throw it out there if it was too thought out. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you guys are on top of everything. They can only be refrozen if you see those ice crystals present. So if you don't see the ice crystals on it, then I'm sorry. What was I hearing? I was hearing something.
I don't know. Not me.
Not me.
There's my dog in here growling.
Oh.
My dog is growling here wanting to play.
Oh, now it's Randall. It's Randall. He was growling. Or was it your dog?
It's my dog.
Well, he just wants to know about what we're talking about, that's all. In fact, I bet that he wants to talk about fruit. I think he does. He wants to know if you can refreeze fruit or not. I think that's what he's asking. So what do you think?
He just wants food, period.
That's probably true.
Fruit, I wouldn't refreeze it if it unthawed either, because like you said before, with the ice crystals, if they were gone off of the fruit and whatnot, then I would eat it for a day or two, and then after that, if you still had some left, you'd either feed it to your animals or you would throw it out.
You all agree with that?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I do too. It's true. It can be refrozen if you're not seeing any signs of spoilage, but if it starts to thaw, actually it's even a good idea just to cook them, and you can turn them into jam, jellies, or something like that. What about your foods that you've already cooked, and you've made a big batch of spaghetti or something, and you put it in your freezer, and that begins to thaw? Maybe the electricity has gone out, and you're noticing it's beginning to thaw. Do you think it's safe to refreeze that?
No, you would use it. You would heat it up and eat it that night.
Use it.
Or,
use it.
Yep, use it. Feed it to your animals then.
That's right. Well, you guys are right that if you see the ice crystals on the food, then it's still okay. But if those ice crystals have gone away, even though it still feels like it might be frozen, it's really no longer safe to eat, and you wouldn't want to take a chance on it. What about ice cream? You know how you're coming home and your ice cream maybe is thawing a little bit, partially. What do you think about that? Do you refreeze it or not?
I have.
Eggs in it, and it has
I have too.
I'm sorry.
So we got one no and two yeses.
I know. I should. Well, I have to tell you, if it's partially thawed, you have to discard it. Now, it's a crime, I know. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so. But you can actually get sick if it's partially thawed and you try to refreeze it again. I know it's just not fair. I think
for something like that, I would try and dump it out and eat take a knife or something, cut off all the thawed part of it, leave the center part of it, throw it back into the container, and throw that in the freezer and say, okay, that was still frozen, so I can use this for later, but I'm making a milkshake or something out of this and eating it.
Yeah. I come home and found it half thawed, and about half goes in my belly. So the other goes in the freezer.
You guys would kind of take your chances with that, wouldn't you? You would try to eat what you thought was okay.
Yeah, what was unthawed, I would eat that because it's still cold because you got the center of it that's still there. If you still got it, if it's unthawed around the outside edges and whatnot, then you can just dump it out of the container, take a knife and cut off what is soft, and then leave the hardness there and throw it back into another container and throw it in your freezer. Use that, and I would reuse that part of it, and I would just eat the rest of it and say, kids, get over here. We got some ice cream to eat right now.
Well, Randall, you're in the South, and so I know that you have those hot, humid temperatures and that things tend to thaw really fast.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? What would you do with your ice cream?
Well, to be honest with you, that's something that I very, very rarely ever eat.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's your answer. You don't even have to worry about it, do you?
I just, it's just, I don't know. I just never hardly ever eat it. I don't know why.
Well,
oh man,
you probably have some
peach ice
that you
cream
like
once
better.
in summer.
I like Cool Whip, but I don't care much for ice cream.
Do you know I once knew somebody that went on a Cool Whip diet? I'm not kidding.
I like frozen Cool Whip.
Now, they went on a Cool Whip diet and ate it for several days trying to lose weight. You know how there's the grapefruit diet and
Did they lose any weight?
No. No, but I think he had a really good time on the diet. But I thought, now I've heard of a lot of diets before, but I've never heard of the Cool Whip diet. But
yeah,
that's
I've never heard of it till tonight. That's pretty interesting.
That's an easy diet to stay on.
Okay, I got one last
easy
one for
diet.
you. Yeah, well, it would be a fun diet. I've got one last question for you. It's about shrimp. We were talking about, James mentioned the seafood earlier, but what about shrimp? Can shrimp be refrozen?
Absolutely not.
I'd be afraid of that.
Okay, so you all agree on it. Boy, I didn't catch anybody. You guys got all the right answers, and so you're correct. It cannot be refrozen. So everybody wins. Nobody will go home tonight with a hurt feeling. Everybody won. Although I do have kind of an interesting side note about canned shrimp. I don't know if you guys ever use that. Sometimes it's sort of handy in a salad or something. But if you take the whole can and you submerge it in ice cold water, just for maybe an hour or so before you open it, it actually makes the shrimp have a fresher flavor. It won't have that sort of tin can in the can kind of flavor.
Oh, that's great to know. Never knew that.
Yeah, just kind of keep that one in mind. And since I tend to like food so much, I was even doing a little bit of research on some of the snack foods and how those came to be. So when do you think the first chip was invented? You know, like a potato chip type chip.
Oh, I think it was in Chicago's World's Fair, but I'm not sure which one.
It was in 1853. That was the first chip. Yeah, they've been around for a while. But it wasn't until... it wasn't... I'm sorry, I was talking over you and I didn't mean to. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, where was it invented? Or do you know? Was it Paris?
I don't know where. I should have looked. All I looked up was the date, and
okay.
I didn't see any information about where it was, but I do know that it wasn't until 1926 when a woman invented the first potato chip bag. Do you remember those wax bags that were sealed, with an iron? And so it was kind of melted on the edge, and all your potato chips came in the wax paper bags, which they always, when I lived in Florida, they just went limp. The minute you opened the bag, within about 5 minutes, your potato chips were just kind of limp and sad.
We have the graciousness of living where Husband's potato chips came from, and it's right down the street, not even a mile from where I'm at right now. And my mom in the 30s would go down there and get a quarter, and they would give her 5 bags of freshly made hot potato chips, and each kid would get a bag, and it was enough to fill them up. And they were freshly made, and they used to take the kids every school trip, every school year. They'd take them through an elementary school and show them how the chips were made, and give them samples to take home. So that was Husband's. And
isn't that a nice memory?
Yeah.
My neighbors used to get Charles chips. Does anyone remember Charles chips in those big tin?
Big
can.
Big tin? I do.
Yeah, the can.
I do.
Do you? And we never got the same thing. But my neighbors did, and they always looked so good because their chips always seemed to be a lot crisper and nicer, and ours were always just kind of limp and tired in those little wax paper bags. So it was like chip envy, Look at
my mom, we love potatoes any way, shape, or form, and my mom used to say we couldn't have one of those cans in the house because we'd sit there and just eat. Wouldn't even realize how much we were eating. And one time I was going down to Florida. And I got a box of Husband's potato chips, and I got it on I got on in Indianapolis, and you would have thought I brought the steak royale or something on there, because everybody was wanting that box. Because you couldn't get Husband's down in Florida. And so it's kind of a taste that you just get from the state, kind of thing. But I remember Jay's potato chips up in Chicago. They have Jay's potato chips, and they're pretty good too. But they come in the crispy bag, greasy bag.
Well, I'm not really familiar with that brand. We didn't eat a lot of them. How Randall said he really didn't eat a lot of ice cream. We didn't really have a lot of chips, but it was popular. The kids would have them in their lunch at school and stuff, and so that's how I got my information on chips. Well, let me talk to you a few minutes about getting rid of some common stains that are in the house, because I found some tips that I thought were really helpful. And every now and then I do get, a stain on my carpet or maybe in the fabrics. And for things like a red wine stain or a stain that has the tannins or a lot of color, you actually pour salt on top of it and just let it sit there, and the salt will actually absorb the liquids. And if you just wait a while until it dries, you can vacuum it right up, and you don't have to scrub any of that. And
wow,
I thought that was a really great one.
Wow.
Have you tried it yet?
You missed that long.
I haven't tried it yet because I'm just so careful I don't spill anything anymore.
I hear you.
I thought that I wish I had known about that one when my girls were small, for something like grape juice, or I was always down there trying to scrub it out with baking soda or some things like that. But I wish I would have known that all I had to do was pour salt on it and walk away. Yeah, that would have been so helpful. And I found another interesting one. Have you guys ever gotten a scorch mark before? Maybe if you're ironing or something and you get a little bit of a scorch on something. If you take onion and rub a raw onion over that and let kind of the onion juice soak on it for a couple of hours, you can wash it in the washing machine and it will come right out.
I could see where that would be. I never thought of it, but yeah, I could see.
It'll come right out. And I've done this before on my clothes. Again, I'm a lot more careful now, but if you're writing with a ballpoint pen, you know how sometimes you get a pen mark on your shirt sleeve or something like that? Do you know what gets out ballpoint pen?
No.
I'm not sure.
Okay. I got you. I didn't know. Milk or hairspray.
Wow.
Wow.
You can actually put a little milk on it and let it set, or you can spray it with a little hairspray, and you can get your ink stains out. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, because you put your pen in your top pocket sometimes, and when you forget to close it, out the ink pen is, and you write on your shirt as you put it in there, and you're like, that's probably room now.
That's true, and you don't have to toss your shirt out. The next thing you can do is just try. I would try either one of those that you have handy, and it should take the ink right out of the fabric. It just kind of releases it, and it should wash out. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I was looking on, isn't that neat? I was looking around at a couple of things about baking and cooking, which is one of my favorites. So I had to give you all tips on baking.
Just send us the recipes.
I know. Do any of you bake bread anymore? Anybody bake bread?
Yeah, but I cheat. I buy one of those bread makers that you just pour the batter in there or make it from scratch, and you put it in there, and you turn it on, and it stirs it all up, and you come back an hour later, and your bread's done.
That's true. The bread machines are really handy. But since you're making the bread at home and there's no preservatives or anything, you normally have to eat it in a day or two, which is actually no problem here at my house.
Yep.
Because when the bread's in the oven, everybody's standing around the oven. Even the dog is there, pennyweight. And they're all just waiting and looking, and so I don't have that problem of the bread not lasting long. But if you do need it to last for a few more days, raisin juice concentrate. Just a little bit of it in your dough before you bake it will make your bread last longer, and it's a lot healthier than using some type of a preservative. So
wow.
I thought that was neat. And you can find it at the grocery store. It's pretty common. Raisin juice
That's
concentrate.
interesting.
And that way your bread
I've
will
never
last
seen none of that before.
longer. Yeah, I've seen it in the stores before. You can get it in a small bottle.
Oh, okay.
And what happens if you're out of sugar? What can you do as a
Honey.
replacement for sugar? Honey. That's an option. Yep. Any other ideas?
Cable syrup.
Maybe that
Molasses?
would be kind of sweet.
Or
But
sorghum?
you know what I use sometimes if I'm out of sugar? A few drops of vanilla.
Huh.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, a few drops of vanilla.
You're making us very hungry, Nancy.
Oh no, I know.
I know that's
well,
right.
Actually, we've already passed the bottom of the hour, so there's only about 15 minutes or so left. So when we're done, you all can go find something to eat. I won't keep you much longer. But well, you remember how we were talking about our ice cream a little while ago, and when you make your ice cream cones, if you're like me, I always get the one that leaks in my hand and down my wrist. It's like they follow me, or if there's one in the pack, I will pick that one. But I now know what to do to stop that from happening. And you just take a marshmallow and push it down at the bottom of the cone, and then the marshmallow will make sure that nothing leaks.
What a good idea.
Yeah, you got a marshmallow to eat too at the end, huh?
That's true. That's true. So, see, it's the 2-for-1 special. So you actually get something else at the end.
You get the prize at the bottom,
right? A lot of people are so disappointed when the ice cream's gone. No, the marshmallow's down there at the bottom. So you could do that. Okay, who grills? Does anyone grill outside on your barbecue
All
grill?
the time.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do too.
What do you do if the grill gets too hot? You know how sometimes you're grilling and it'll get too hot and you'll have those little like flares.
Flames
a little
up.
bit the meat or something.
Flame up, yeah.
So,
I use water. I use a bottle with water on it, or even a cup, and pour water on it and put it out.
okay, so you do the water. Randall, what do you do?
Well, I start off, I put a piece of tin foil over my grill, and when all the grease kind of gets drained out of it good, I put it to the grill. Then I take that tin foil up, and I usually don't have no flare-ups.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Cherokee, do you grill out? Do you use a grill at all?
Oh yeah. And I do basically the same thing like Randall does, except I do have. I don't like a lot of grease on my food, so I let the grease sit down. But I use sand. I sprinkle sand on the fire if it gets too hot, or I put another sheet of tin foil over it, and it will take some of the heat away from the meat. Anyway.
Well, are you guys using coals, or is it a gas grill?
Mine's a gas grill.
I use charcoal, Kingsford charcoal.
Okay.
I use both.
You use both?
If I'm not camping, I grill. If I'm home, I use gas.
Or you use a fire. Grill,
okay. Well,
you can grill on a fire too, and then you just push the fire back away and leave the hot coals, and then kind of put a couple new fresh logs around, and then drop your grill in right there on the hot coals and cook that way.
Or
yeah,
you can just
can't
raise
do
your
that.
grill up.
Yeah, and when you're cooking outside with a fire, like James said, you can do it that way too. Because we have a fire pit outside, and we have a couple of grills that we can actually lay on there, even though it's a fire pit that you can use also to roast marshmallows and things like that. But we do have a grill we can lay across the top of it. Well, I have a suggestion that you guys might be interested in trying. If your grill starts getting too hot, you can actually place lettuce leaves on top of the coals, and that will eliminate the flare-ups and the little, the fire and the smoke spewing up. What do you think of that?
Wow.
That's great.
I didn't know that.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
You stumped all of us, that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's probably not one you would actually think of. I don't do a whole lot of cooking outside. One thing, we don't have a lot of time that is nice enough to be outside. Our summers are really short, and we do grill out every now and then, but for the most part, I have to get really desperate for something grilled. And around spring, I usually do. The snow's still on the ground, and it's 20 degrees outside, and I'll just finally think, I can't take another day of this. I have to grill out. And I've actually posted pictures of me standing there in the snow, trying to grill something. But usually when the weather is nice outside, I have a lot of chores to do, and I want to spend time with the horses, and I want to be out. And normally I'm not grilling outside. Sometimes I don't even get dinner until later because it doesn't get dark here until almost, at the peak of the summer, it's probably about 11:30 or so, almost midnight before it gets dark.
Wow.
Wow.
And it doesn't get dark all the way. So you still have a fairly bright feeling. It's almost like it is in Alaska. And it's dark for about 4 hours.
You can work outside if your eyes adjust to it, so you can stay out there and can kind of finish up what you're doing, even if it does get dark on you, because it doesn't get all the way dark, like you said.
You're right. And so what ends up happening is I'm still outside, I'm still doing things, and all of a sudden I realize it's 10 o'clock at night. And it doesn't feel like it because it's still practically daylight, and I'm thinking, I guess I missed supper. Everybody's getting older now, so they can go in and get something they want. So we tend to be outside often in the evenings, which is why I'm not doing as much cooking in the summertime. But let me give you another tip that you might like if you're going to work outside with your barbecue coals. If you wrap an onion in foil and add it to the coals, it gives a real nice, like smoky onion flavor, I guess. Almost like a flavor to your meat. And so that might be something that you want to try.
Yeah.
You can also
making me hungrier.
a little. I know. You can also throw in a handful of wood chips that have been soaked. Does anyone do that? Because that makes a nice smoky flavor on the meat too.
I've never done that, but I've heard of people doing it, but I've never done it. So.
Yeah, we use it basically almost like a smoker, and you can put it in your grill, and it gives everything a really nice flavor.
Cool.
So let's talk about chicken. Let's talk about chicken.
You got to boil your chicken 45 minutes to an hour before you put it on the grill, or it does not turn out, and it's not done, and you're going to eat raw chicken.
Oh, really? Now, see, I haven't done that. We'll put it on the smoker, and get it really hot in there, and I don't have to pre-cook them. Do you pre-cook your chicken before you put it on the grill?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I cook it up high, so it cooks longer. That might be why I can get away with it.
James, do you cook yours ahead of time?
Yes, unless I'm going to cook it like you said in the smoker. If I got it in the smoker, then I'm okay because I keep it up high and I get it good and hot and where it works. But if I want to get it pretty soon, pretty quick, and just kind of get a smoky flavor, then I will put it in the pan and boil it with water for 45 minutes to an hour, and then put it on the grill and just bake it on the side.
Well, that's a good idea. So in a sense, you almost kind of steam it a little bit. It probably keeps it moist too.
Yes, and you don't. It's not half as dry because you don't cook as long because you've already got it pretty much done. You know that, and you're just basically getting the crispy on the outside and the smoky flavor on it, and then you take it off and eat it. And that gives you time to make other things while you're doing that too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know who brought chicken to the Americas. It was brought here in 1493, but whoever it is, I really want to say thank you because it's one of my favorite things that I like to cook out. Yeah, and I use it a lot inside too. A lot of when I roast them or do stir fry or any of those ideas. I'm just a real fan of chicken.
If chicken goes extinct, I'm dead.
Oh no. Now, when you bake them in the oven, and this is a really common tip, I think a lot of people probably do this, so I'm not really telling you anything new, but when I bake the chicken, I always bake them with the breast side down, and I keep a little bit of either chicken broth or often ginger ale, and I pour it into the bottom of the pan because, your white meat's going to cook faster, and it tends to dry out. The white meat cooks faster than the dark. So I find that gives everything good moisture, and so when you bring your chicken out of the oven, you're not going to have a dry white meat to it. So I don't know. Have you guys ever tried that, cooking your chicken upside down?
No.
I haven't, and also I use a fork and I poke the chicken all over and then pour the chicken broth or whatever, the ginger ale, over the chicken, and that way some of that juice or oil or whatever goes into the chicken itself, and it keeps it from drying out too.
I haven't done it, but I've seen people do it. They take a can of beer and use a whole chicken, and they stuff a can of beer inside of it, and then they roast it, and it's supposed to keep the chicken way more moist and whatnot, and it doesn't have an alcohol flavor because the alcohol evaporates out of the beer. And I use citrus, like orange juice or cranberry juice or something in a turkey or whatever, and putting it on my barbecue or even in the big pan, and I put a bunch of vegetables around it, and then put some apple in it, and some oranges and some lemon, and then I use some kind of citrus juice down around the bottom and mix it with 50-50 with water, and then put it down in there, and I always keep it at least half full of water when it's cooking, and I cook it for like 8 hours on my grill, and I have a turkey that way.
I have a friend.
I shouldn't have listened to this.
Renee.
I shouldn't have listened to mine. I'm so hungry.
Oh. Hi, Nancy.
Being mean.
Oh, hello,
Sorry.
Renee. I just heard. Yeah, I think I just heard something. Renee, there you are.
I have a friend who is Jewish that actually just uses a meat tenderizer and just beats it really good before she grills or fries. And it really makes a difference in how tender it is.
Well, that's a good suggestion too. You know what else I've done when I'm getting ready to roast a chicken is sometimes if you can lift the skin up a little bit, and I've put garlic and a little bit of butter underneath it, and then sort of put the skin back down.
Yeah, that's how the chefs do it. Even with the turkey, they'll raise the skin and they'll butter it up with the poultry seasoning and the basil and all that stuff.
That's true. That turns out well too, and it keeps that white meat nice and moist. In fact, sometimes if I'm baking a ham, have you ever bought one of those spiral hams? I've taken slices of orange and actually kind of slid them in between the spiral cuts, and that gives the meat a really nice kind of citrus flavor while it's baking too. So that's another idea that you might want to give a try.
I wish that I had been able to prepare a little bit for the show. I used to have this book that was called Backyard Roughing It, and it was really fun. You can actually like line the bottom of a wheelbarrow and just use it like a
Grill, yeah.
a barbecue.
Barbecue.
Yeah. Just line it with your wood or your briquettes and actually cook your meal right over on your wheelbarrow.
We put sand in ours before, so we didn't burn the tire. We put it about half full of sand, and then we put our briquettes or our fire in it, and then we used the very top for the grill and cooked in it.
Oh, that's clever. Yeah, that's a really clever idea. Well, guys, I really appreciate every single tip that you've offered, and I've loved our conversation. And I've only got a couple minutes left, so our hour is gone. I don't know how it went so fast, but it did.
Wow.
I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that these hints help you, and I certainly appreciate the ones that you've offered to everybody who's been listening. And if you actually have some more that you want to write about, if you remember them later, just post them at the bottom on the radio page or on the YouTube link. You can actually write them there, and that way people can see them, even though we didn't get a chance to talk about them. So I want to say a very special thank you to all of you, James and Randall and Cherokee and Renee. Thank you so much for calling in and talking to me tonight for this hour. The next show is going to be on Wednesday, September the 4th at the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Mountain. And I hope that everybody stops by at my website at QuinnWildlifeArt.com and look over my books and my art and my jewelry and my new video. It's posted. It's about an incredible lightning storm that I was able to get a few minutes of.
Very good.
Did you see that one? It really is
very
beautiful.
good.
It's something to see, so you can look that up on the YouTube channel. The link is on my website, or you can search under Nancy Quinn videos or the channel, which is High Mountain Homesteading. But yeah, go check it out because it's quite an interesting thing to see those massive bolts of lightning. It was an exciting adventure. So I've only got a couple of seconds left. So let me say thank you again, and we'll talk soon, hopefully next month. And I will say good night to everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night, all. Good night from the West.
Good night, John Boy.
Uh-huh.